When it comes to immersion learning, as in going to a country and learning the language, there is one thing that people often forget. People always talk about talking to people, talking to locals, socializing in the country. But there's one important element of being in a country that you can't get anywhere else. You can't get when you're doing a course in your home country, which is...
Welcome to Rhapsody in Lingo. I'm Israel and I spent all of August staying in Vilnius, Lithuania and studying the Lithuanian language.
I just got myself a library card for this. Ooh, and a piano for my composing pleasure.
Not only through the 1 month intensive summer course that I was enrolled in, but just as importantly, also from living in Lithuania. In my last video, I talked about how I interacted with local people in order to practice the language, which is something that most people would associate with language immersion, whether or not they actually do it.
Where is it in Poland?
I think that it's lovely. You can just make.
But this video is mainly going to be about another aspect of living in the country. But first, let me hop on the train again.
So just like Poland, they have the thing where each platform has 2 tracks. So it's just like Polish, peron, bit like peron. But then you have to make sure you don't get the wrong one because they're both numbers. But thankfully you have screens here telling you where you're going.
And head over to the #1 rival city to Vilnius, Kaunas.
I'm now on a seemingly uninhabited island in the middle of the city of Kaunas, which, according to this comment, is where the standard Lithuanian's accentuation pattern came from. So this is where people speak proper posh. And it's also very obviously the city where my Lithuanian textbook is written, because every dialogue is set in Kaunas and every exercise just assumes you're here. And now here I am. Speaking of pronunciation, thank you very much for all the comments on my first video about my pronunciation. As I said, that was my first try on the first couple of days where I was trying to learn some Lithuanian, and I knew I got something right because I think as a musician and a polyglot I have a decently good ear. At the same time, I'm not very in command of my tongue and mouth as much as some of my friends are, so I might not be able to reproduce some sounds that I can hear. But many of you were very positive about my pronunciation, so thank you very much. I'm constantly improving, and part of that is by repeating things that I see and hear around me. So in lessons, whenever the teacher says something, I always say it several times, just in the same way that she says it. So I try to imitate exactly what she says with all the ups and downs and everything. And when I see signs around me, I also read them aloud. More on that later. I've also got some comments about how I sounded Russian. I might have had a Slavic accent in the very beginning because I speak Polish quite well, so my brain automatically associates some things that it sees and it hears with the Polish sounds that I know. And many people in Lithuania associate that accent with Russians because, as we all know, there are quite some Russians around these parts, and Russian speakers who speak Lithuanian with this Slavic accent. One of the main reasons I think that accent was so distinguishable is the soft sound, especially things like the soft N, because in Polish at least, or probably in Russian as well, if you have a soft N, like a nie, it sounds like a nie. There's more of a twist in the sound. Whereas in the soft N in Lithuanian, it is sort of in the same position, but it doesn't have that twist. It goes straight. So instead of nie, you put the tongue where the nie is, but you just go straight. Ne, ne. And that contrasts with ne, ne. But that's also a different vowel. Ne, 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 ne. I hope there is a difference. I'm trying very hard. And one of the hardest sounds to make is a soft L, like vallo, which means hooray, or gallo, gallo, lu, lu. gallu, which means I can. And again, it's not gallio, not gallu. I heard that many times. It is extremely subtle. It's gallo, gallu. So I put the L where the lio would be, but I just go straight. Lo, lu, saulus. So I specifically asked my teacher to repeat things like these, like lu and lu, to hear the difference and try to imitate them. And I know that to a native Lithuanian speaker, if I say lie, it's going to sound like a diphthong, because in Lithuanian there's a diphthong ye, which sounds exactly like the soft N or L, nie, lie in Polish or Russian.
Speaking of like, if you like what I do, please feel free to leave me a like below, or consider supporting what I do by buying me a cuppa on Buy Me a Coffee. All the travelling this year has really drained my finances, and I haven't been able to take a one-on-one language lesson for quite a while now, so any support would be really welcome. You could also get your own one-on-one language lesson by using my referral link on italki. That will give me an opportunity to get my own lesson, and of course, you get a free lesson as well.
This is the old part, and then you have the development. Now, what about outside the classroom? Because when it comes to immersion learning, as in going to a country and learning the language, there is one thing that people often forget. People always talk about talking to people, talking to locals, socializing in the country. But there's one important element of being in a country that you can't get anywhere else. You can't get when you're doing a course in your home country, which is everything that is written in the native language, because the language truly is all around me. And one of my favorite things to do is to look at it, to read it, to understand it, to learn all the language that is written. I haven't done a lot of these immersion learning courses, but from my experience in this month so far, reading aloud signs has given me multiple different benefits. For one, I practice my pronunciation, even though it would be better if I heard someone say it. But still, pronunciation is muscle memory, so every minute that I get to say something in Lithuanian, my muscles get more accustomed to where the sounds are, where the vowels and consonants are, and how they combine together. And that helps build my future mechanical fluency. Junctis cabelliae adapteriae, paslaugu centras, ausines, peles, claviaturos. I'm thinking in my head what's going on in the word and in the ending. The second benefit is the fluency that's in my head, which concerns the grammar and structures. Because to learn a language to fluency, you need to internalize the structures fully. You can't be thinking about the structures every time you speak it. And that ties into the video that I made a long time ago, somewhere up there, about my greatest trick when learning languages, which is I observe and I look at the details of how the language is being used. And when it comes to complex languages like Lithuanian, with all these declensions and everything working together, I pay great attention to everything that I see in real language use. I like how that's knygos, books, but then that is sezonui, it's for the season, and then virtuve, it's for the kitchen. Pardotoves, genitive, darbolaikas, works, times, hours. So while I'm reading aloud the signs, my brain's going, why is this ending here? Why is this ending there? How do they work together? How's the word order? And that's all I do, because I'm literally doing other stuff while I'm doing this. But every time my brain quickly goes through these endings and structures, it's one repetition. And in language learning, all you need is repetition. And to be precise, I'm not only thinking about what case this is, what tense this is, but rather what it means and what context I would be using this. For example, a salad bar would have salad in genitive case because it's a bar of salads. So when I'm looking at the sign, my brain's going, okay, the bar belongs to the salads. Or when it comes to verb endings, I'm thinking, I'm doing this, you're doing this, you should do this. My brain's trying to convert everything into abstract feelings and concepts instead of just grammatical concepts. And by doing this, the pathways that are in my brain connecting the different parts of the language are strengthened, and hopefully one day when I produce the language on my own, these pathways will help my brain get the endings out there immediately without much thought. If you're wondering how I do it, this is how I speak to myself when I'm reading signs. Shiame name. Name means in-house, it's locative ending. So I can assume that shiame would be the masculine locative singular for this in this house. Giveno, I'm going to assume it's a past tense of lived. There you go. The third benefit of reading signs is the vocabulary. There are lots of things that aren't in my textbook, or it's way down the line in the textbook. But I need to use the words right now because I want to buy things, I want to eat, I want to drink. So I look at the menu and I learn how to say things like big and small, warm and cold, sweetness, toppings, etc. You might have noticed that I've been ordering a lot of bubble tea because that's one of the harder things you can do as a beginner. But I've nailed it. I've learned all the vocabulary and I can order bubble tea with one-word answers. Proszę wiena arbata joda pianiny.
Şalda.
Szata.
Marika papilomidėte.
Saldumas 25.
Kokio dydžio? Dydžio kokio?
Oh, okay. Didelis? Okay, didelis.
Prienai.
Oh, tapiokos per.
Tik tais tapioka?
Taip.
Viskas būtų? Keturi.
Viskas būtų taip.
Kartelė?
Kartelė, prašau.
Ar čeką reikės? Ar čeką reikės?
Nesupratau.
Well, you need the receipt?
Oh, okay. Taip. Check.
Ar čeką?
Check it. Okay. And indeed, I notice a lot of learners are not doing this. And I insist on making all the orders in Lithuanian because that is how it's going to get stuck in my head. And that is how I'm going to get used to hearing all the questions like, do you need a receipt in the native language? And sometimes when I don't know a word, I just ask. I ask how to say bag in Lithuanian, how to say straw. And nobody has never gone like, I'm not your bloody teacher, I just work here, shut up and order in English. And they just tell me. And every time I get bubble tea, every time I get coffee, I say the same exact words, I get asked the same exact questions, and eventually they get stuck in my head and I can say them without thinking. So actually my class has just started learning some food vocabulary, but I already know some of them better than everyone else, just because I've been using these very same words every single day in my daily life.
So that's it for my Kaunas experience. There's at least one more video from my month in Lithuania, so if you want to see that, along with a lot more progress updates, language learning lifestyle content, and more importantly tips, scroll down right now and subscribe to the channel to get more. I'll see you in the next one.